everyone. Hello, hello. So,
Hello. Hi.
hi. So my name is Lia. I am the executive secretary of Artemix.
And I'm Isa, the internal vice president of Art Remix. And this
And
is
this is Theater Mix.
Theater Mix. Woo! We did that so perfectly, Leah.
I know,
Anyway,
right?
yeah, so Theater Mix. So this is where we talk all about theater, performing arts, racket life, and everything in between. So, Leah, what is our topic for today?
So our topic for today, guys, is super interesting. It's about theater and therapy mixed into one. So and we have these amazing speakers, our guest speakers, and one of them is a psychology graduate who is in theater, and another one is a theater graduate who is interested in psych. So I am very, very personally very excited for this because I once was a psychology major, then I turned theater, so I'm very excited for this. So Isa, do you wanna mention who's our first guest?
Okay, I'll go with the second one that you mentioned. So we'll have Ade. He's a freelance theater artist who graduated from UP Diliman. Consciously, Ade dedicates his time and energy exploring, understanding, and creating safe spaces in the world, whatever form it may be. Creative writing, performance, and mindfulness are some of the safe spaces that he has come to call his own. And he actually just recently starred in Art Remix's latest production, Island Song. So glad to have you back in Art Remix. Hi, Ada, join us.
Hello. Oh no, I think I'm frozen. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
Oh,
Oh
hello.
no,
Oh
nice
no.
hair, Ade.
very
Hi,
beautiful hair, Ade.
voice is heard. Yeah, and at least my voice is heard. Hi everyone.
Hi guys. Hi Ade. So I'll
Maybe
go
while he
ahead
has that
and
fixed, yeah,
well, he has his hair fixed.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and introduce our second speaker. His name is CJ Maramara, who graduated with a degree of BS Psychology from UST in 2017 and started his acting in high school, but joined Icarus Theatre Collective, an indie theater company, for the first time in 2018. Since then, he has been an actor and writer for Icarus Productions and is continuing to grow in the company. From his days in college, he was always a lover of performance, from spoken word poetry to stage acting. He's also already been ready to bring life into text and made by him or other people. So hello, CJ, glad to see you again.
Hi. It is. I'm glad to see you guys. Uh, hi.
Agad.
So
Hello. I didn't freeze this time.
yeah, yeah. So Isa, you actually muted.
Okay, sorry. All right. So, before anything else, how are you? How are our guests tonight? How are you, Ade? How are you, CJ?
Hmm? Okay, sige.
Yeah, go ahead, Ade.
I'm doing
Buzzer.
great. Uh, I literally just came from a hosting gig today, so I knew I had to make time for this because this topic is something close to my heart and something that I want to pursue in the future. So yeah, thank you guys for having me. Yeah.
How about you?
Uh,
How about you, CJ?
I'm doing great too. I just came from a workshop of our company. I'm excited because we have a lot of productions lined up, and I'm very excited to talk about theater therapy. So uh, there's a lot to explore there. So I'm pretty excited to get into it.
Yay. Okay, so I know we talked a bit about your background in theater in our introductions for you, but I personally want to ask, like, can you give us like a little bit of a deeper deeper
What's
back
that, Leah? Deeper.
deeper, you swim, just keep swimming. No, like a deeper background on theater for you guys. And
Um,
since Ada
Ade.
started first,
Yeah.
CJ, you go first.
okay. Um, So, uh, like you mentioned, I started theater in high school. It was a school production of like Ramayana. But I really did get more into theater around college. And then eventually, after I graduated, I worked with Icarus Theater Collaborative. Um, I've been working with them since 2018. My first work with them was Timeline, which was a spoken word play. It was a devised spoken word play where all of the actors were also writers. Recently, we released an adaptation of um, Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, but in an adaptation to the Philippine setting with titled Pound of Flesh. That I was in or that I acted in. We also have a series of small productions sometime soon, but yeah, I'll talk about that later. But I've been with them for
That
like
sounds
years now.
really interesting that you have a lot going on for that company, because like just with Art Remix beginnings, like it's so nice to see how other what do you call these companies are also doing, since we just started and we actually have a
Mhm.
lot that we want to do. It's just like lining them one by one. It's so nice that other companies are doing is very well, having a lot of events in their pipeline. So how about you, Ade?
Hi, hi. Um, I guess I started theater when I was grade 2 pa. Kasi there was this like theater group that went to our school and then it's like saying, if you want to do theater as an extracurricular, just join us. It's after hours thing. And it was like a baby production of Lion King. So just imagine like a tiny, tiny
Oh,
like scar. I was a tiny scar.
oh my God.
Yun.
Oh, it's adorable.
Yeah. And then I think ever since then, I kind of had an affiliation or an attraction to performing because it just kind of brought out this more fully realized self of mine. So after that, I started joining a lot of productions and I eventually joined high school choir. And then parang when I was in this senior high retreat, parang what do I really want in life? Diba yung mga ganong klase existential crisis at that time.
That's
You
so
I
early,
suddenly
isn't
thought
it?
na I suddenly thought na you know what, I want to pursue this professionally. So ayun, I decided to take theater as my major in college and University of the Philippines, Diliman. So yeah, I worked with Dulaang UP intensively. We really have a lot of plays we've mounted over the course of a few years when I was there. Tapos, since of course we're all in the pandemic, the thing that I am doing now as a theater actor is improv theater. So I joined classes ng improv. It was really, really fulfilling to the heart as an artist to have that platform. So yeah, and now I'm here.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. There's a lot of we even though the pandemic hit and a lot of theater things got had to be closed. I feel like there are things that were open for theater, so it could still go on and it can still spread out. Yeah.
really, actually, with what Ada said, that he got into theater so naturally, but because like I don't know, maybe you were called, you felt that calling with the first Lion King production that you read. That's so cute. That's so cute. Because like just for a quick reference, Ada's like a really tall guy, and like imagining that he was that little scar. I think that's so cute. But yeah, agreeing that theater is so naturally. Actually, the fact that it is so, we practitioners agree somehow that, I don't know, with its not very natural nature, we find it therapeutic. And but before we go so deeper into that, like okay, therapy. What's your self-care routine this pandemic? That's one of the most basic things of, right, taking care of yourself. So yeah, who wants to go first?
Sige, I can go since TJ started kanina. Self-care routine. I'm gonna be honest, the pandemic really made you reflect, no, on how you take care of yourself, especially kasi right right now nandito ka na lang talaga with yourself. You're just with yourself, and it kind of can drive you crazy, and it can bring a lot of skeletons out of the closet. So I'm not going to lie. I've had major depressive episodes, and that was brought about with the pandemic rin. And thankfully I have enough connections. I've reached out to the proper channels, and I have therapy sessions with my psychiatrist. Other self care routines. Ayun. I'm also training as a mindfulness facilitator because mindfulness really is one of my anchors this pandemic. Kasi just accepting that things will be uncertain and that's okay, which helps me go a long way. And really also the fact that creating is also a therapeutic kind of sense for me as an artist, na doing art, kahit just doodling on a notebook, really helps me get myself together. So those are my self-care routines siguro in my experience during the pandemic.
So for me, my self care routines. I agree with a lot of what Ade said, that the pandemic really almost forced you to think about what you're doing. I mean, and how to take care of yourself. Since a lot of things got put on hold. Um, for me, what I do usually, I actually, it's pretty similar to what Ade said. It's a lot of mindfulness. It's a lot of trying to understand what you feel, and then starting to explore why you feel this way, and just having that whole process of why, and then being okay with, but this is how it is essentially. It really do be like that sometimes. So most of my uh, I mean I most of my self-care is, it's a lot of humor, honestly. If people would see my, if people are friends with me on Facebook, they would see that I joke a lot about mental health. um and I but I'm glad that, like, I have a small community where people with the similar experiences as me, similar disorders as I do, um can support each other and ask each other questions. And, if we need to vent, or if we need to look for advice, we have a community of people who we can turn to. And I feel like that was one of the bigger things that helped me take care of myself. It's not just, by myself, but also in reaching out to other people.
All right. Uh, there's something that I noticed in your answers, but I'm pretty sure we can elaborate more on that with our next question. Because, well, both of you are artists, and like I was slightly hoping that you would mention something in your self-care routine, something related to like getting injecting or integrating something of your craft in your healthcare routine. But this is where you guys can share more about it. So the question is like, what is somewhat related to art, but not certainly on the self-care routine. But what about art, or what is it about art that makes you want to continue going for it? Because as you mentioned, really it takes you a long way from either
Yeah.
from when you were younger, and then with CJ since college and up until now. Like I'm not sure if you guys are still related to um so closely related to theater in your occupations,
Mhm.
but yeah, what is it about it that makes you want to keep going for it?
I guess I'll go first this time.
Yes.
I think what keeps me coming back for art is I have this. I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure if it's a shared thing between artists, but I think it is, to a degree at least. There's this all there. I have this need to express how I feel, and not just to bring it out in what I say or like what I do, but also to get others to feel the same way. I think for me, it's in making art. It's me trying to, like what I said earlier in this whole self-care thing, part of it is me trying to reach out to other people to get them to understand what's going on, and hopefully that, it's it's basically seeking understanding, uh, you to be seen and to be understood. That's why
Oh,
I keep making art, whether it's like poetry or like I write or singing. It's always about seeking understanding for me.
sorry, I just really like what he said when like seeking understand, because like, well, that really goes into what he said of like relating to people, or like making what he probably feels known or shared, really communicate it to people. It's so nice. It's such a nice let's say purpose at the back of actually just simply going for art. It's nice.
Yeah. It's
Go ahead,
also
Ade.
like a nice.
I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
Leah.
ahead.
Go ahead. Let's
It's all I
go.
mean. I was gonna, I was just gonna say it's also a nice thing to keep in your head, seeking understanding, because like a lot of people, there's a lot of people who do like who hate on people who don't know or can't understand. So like
Yeah.
it goes with also the saying, don't hate but educate. It's like, yeah, I like that term, seeking understanding. I like that. Anyway, so Ade,
Go ahead, Ade.
Um, the question is like, what is it about arts that keeps me going? Like, what, why do I keep continuing? And like, for example, why did I seek it as a profession, even especially in this pandemic, no? Pero I guess kasi I have a theory kasi na all human beings are intrinsically artists. Kasi imagine all of us when we were children. Imagine all of us when we were children. You most likely drew something first before you wrote. How did you learn how to like write the letter A? Most likely we're scribbling things, diba? And
On the
making
wall.
trying to articulate something. So I guess for me, that kind of act of trying to articulate what you want to express is found in the arts for me. Parang when you try to verbalize something, when you try to express something, sometimes there's not even a word that can capture all the things that you're feeling, all the things that you're experiencing or someone else is experiencing. The arts is a very, very strong tool to use to articulate that. Kasi it's more than words, it's more than visual, it's more than auditory, it's all of it. It's the whole experience of creation and collaboration. So in a sense, the reason why, for me personally, why I went into the arts and why I continue to work in the arts is because personally, in my experience, the arts have saved me. I can specifically point out a moment in my life where I knew I could have died if I did not have the arts to be there as a way of expression and as a way of being heard, especially being um ooh, I did not realize I would bring these emotions out, no.
It's
Pero
okay.
yeah, the arts kasi gave me a place, a safe space, a safe medium where I can express myself in a time when I almost could not, in a turbulent family and everything like that. So it does. Sometimes they say that arts is just a very first world thing, but I would like to contest that because there are really people out there who the only thing they have is their art. That's the only way that they can articulate themselves. So that's the reason why I keep pursuing it, why I keep doing it. Because for me, my goal as an artist is, I know there's this weird thing now people say it's you either make art to heal or to comfort the disturbed or to disturb the comforted. So for me, I lean more towards the healing because I know that power of healing. And it's a good entry point na rin for yung theater as therapy. Na theater becomes a way for us to start healing whatever was hurt, and a way, I think yung sinasabi ni CJ na seeking understanding, kasi the beautiful thing about theater, especially as the arts, is that it's a community. It's not just you and then letting other people see it and then hindi mo na makikita ng reactions nila. You're collaborating with people while you make it. You get to have this process where you can actually almost meditatively sort out through whatever you're feeling whenever you're doing these things. And there's this term called catharsis. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's like this parang purging of emotion that comes from theater. So I think that's one of the things talaga that brings people to theater and why people, some people, specifically me, um, to do theater because of that feeling of catharsis. So yeah, that's my.
Okay, so actually that's a really great image that you gave out, the catharsis feeling and the feeling that the fact that theater is giving you this community, this space where you know you're being heard, and like what CJ says, the seeking understanding. And I just want to connect that to our next question actually for CJ. um with all that, with everything it said about being heard, community, catharsis, seeking understanding, is there something about is there a psychological background as to why do you think theater helps us with our emotional troubles? Like, is there a psychological explanation for that?
Actually, I think Ade talked about it quite a bit. I mean, the primary one that I think applies is catharsis, but because you explore, but to get a bit deeper into it, um, it's particularly when you're performing, or even when you're writing, or directing. Um, what theater requires, it requires a certain understanding of what the script needs, what the story needs, what the characters need to be, need to say, need to act, how they need to act, and to put up a genuine or like a convincing performance. You need to know these emotions, you need to sit with these emotions, you need to be able to um not just know and understand them, but know and understand them so well that you can act them, that you can write about them, that you can make other people feel the same way. Um, and I think the reason why theater can be so therapeutic is because um, the whole environment of theater forces you into that kind of mindset. For example, if there's a character that you can identify with, that you're going to portray, I used to do that before, because I tend to have a type. I mean, most actors have some sort of typecast with them, and for me, it's usually like the lover boy, blah blah blah, cute guy with a guitar or whatever, you know. And I played something like that for one of my first productions, actually, Timeline. And I had to explore that feeling. I had to explore, okay, what is it like to be this um, silly playboy who doesn't really care about what's happening around him, because that was, well, yes, it was close to who I was, it was also kind of different than who I was. And at the time I was having a bit of trouble personally, and actually exploring that helped me a lot. I've had other productions that are similar. Like I did one about uh, alter Twitter, which is the blue side of Twitter. So we did that before, and that was during a time where I was exploring a lot of my, not necessarily, I mean, like sexuality, but like more, yeah, like exploring that, exploring who I was attracted to, why I was attracted to them, intimacy in general. So it was interesting because these themes, and the like going into like a deeper analysis of these characters helps me understand a bit of myself, because when you act or when you write, you always leave a bit of yourself in it. You have to have a little bit of yourself in it, because
Mm.
that's how you make it genuine, that's how you connect to people. Because otherwise it won't, people will feel that. And I'm not entirely sure what the term is, but um when you're able to, I think it's if I recall correctly, I think it's being able to project, I guess, yourself onto the character, um who you are, at least a part of who you are, onto the character. And if you're able to do that, the kind of work that the character does, or at least the kind of work that the character requires, also requires you to do that same work, or at least a very similar kind of work. So yeah, so that's why I think like it can get very therapeutic uh when you're in theater.
That's
So it's
actually
kind
there.
of like go Isa, go.
It's okay.
There you go. Sorry, there was something that I was quite curious with what CJ mentioned, because like he mentioned that he played a role that um correct, right? There was on some level there's some that you can relate with
Hmm.
personally, of how you are, and there's some that's not probably directly you can relate with, right?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if there's hopefully, because in my perspective, there's still quite of a positive impact when someone's internalizing and trying to relate to a character for the purpose of internalization, trying to
Hmm.
relate to a character that's not similar to them,
Yeah.
right? It's like I was wondering if I don't know if you can share, because you also mentioned that there are parts of when you play that role that you couldn't um simply relate with personally. Is
Hmm.
that right?
Yeah.
How could that, or psychologically speaking, or even just in your experience, how was that of a good impact, positively? Hopefully, something you can
Yeah.
share. So just wondering with that, and that, and the thought process, and how it, came to you, what you experienced.
uh for me, whenever I would have to like relate to a character, or well, play a character that I couldn't really relate to. Like for example, I think the last production that I was in, Pound of Flesh, was the Merchant of Venice adaptation. I played the Antonio essentially, but then Antonio is like a full-fledged politician and he's a bad guy. So talaga, so we really played that up. So I was essentially like this hyper conservative politician which is very like not me. I'm not very close to that. Um, I think what helped me in understanding these things, I think what helps with regards to therapy is having a level of empathy towards not just like the character, but also to like to others, because if it's something that you personally cannot relate to be able to give a good performance, you have to be at least know how to empathize with this character. You know, for example, yeah, like for example, that whole the hyper conservative politician who is destroying the homes of indigenous peoples, because that was my character, and I did not like that. I did not like my character. But what I did was I knew that his one of his internal struggles was that he was in love with somebody, Basano, or at least our version of Basano, who he could not have, and that was something that I could relate to. So I found some common ground, and then started to see how somebody could be that way, how somebody could develop into that kind of person, where because he has lost love, this is all he has left. This is his bid at control. This is the one thing that he wants to have, because he can't have what he actually wants. And that helped me a lot with not just understanding like the character, but like even I can also use that like to understand other people, you know, when I don't think that I understand what they do, or I'm having trouble understanding how they come to be that way. But when I use those kind of things, it's a lot of uh, gaining a lot of empathy, and gaining a lot of understanding as to how people can be essentially.
I actually have a question. So like just to relate it to the earlier question, like
Mhm.
You said a lot about having to empathize with the character. Is it possible that the fact that you're trying to empathize with the character, it's giving you a sort of like a mind exercise to learn how to empathize with yourself, so you get to learn yourself better and you get to know yourself better and stuff like that. Is that a similar concept to it?
I think so. For me, whenever I try to self empathize, um, it's easier for me at least to empathize with myself almost like in the third person. uh if I pretend like I am my own best friend, and then I try to explore what I've done, or like if it was my best if I was my best friend, how would he see me, how would they see me, and so on and so on. How would they think I came to be like that? Because it's easier to, I mean, when you're stuck in your head, it's kind of easy to, try to justify or try to think that you're okay with things, or things are not as bad as they seem, or even to be negative about it, they could be worse than they seem. But then when you try to take a step back and self empathize, at least for me, like in the third person, um, it makes it easier for me to understand, okay, this is what I went through. These are the experiences that I had to deal with. And this is part of why I am like this. So, um, I think the pattern of thinking is very similar in like other people. It's just to yourself, essentially. I just kind of cheated by thinking of myself as somebody else, but like that, I know myself really fairly enough. So yeah, I think I
Yeah,
would
I
answer
want to
that.
actually build on that na parang I think we can all agree na theater essentially is an exercise of empathy and
Hmm.
compassion.
Yeah.
In some sense, I
Yeah.
don't think you can ever get into a role if you don't at least empathize for the role. And actually, share lang, parang for some reason, I have a strange typecast of being the bad guy. So actually nga nagulat ako sa remix na as in Loverboy, Hopeless Loverboy kasi that is severely new to what I usually get cast. I usually get cast as the villain. Simple,
Hmm.
as in even bata pa lang no Scar,
Scar.
Oo nga, no?
di ba Scar, and I was also cast as Prince Pedro in um
Maybe
um
Ade, you're so good at empathizing for the evil ones.
maybe I just so bad. Ayun. And wala ko. Oh, hello.
Oh,
Yan.
Yeah.
there you go.
Ayun. And like I played as a toxic masculine guy before. So yun, it is an exercise of theater, of empathy and compassion. And I guess what picking up from what CJ said, no matter how we like it or not, there will always be a sense of shared humanity with everyone.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes we forget that we are also part of that shared humanity. Na yung nabanggit nga ni CJ na sometimes it's so hard to bring comfort or compassion to yourself when you have like troubles. And we actually do this in one of our exercises, mindfulness training that we're doing. Na imagine you have a close friend, a really really close friend who just received a bad news or parang they were beating themselves up, and then imagine what you would say to them. Tapos para ang usual response is that we'd be kind, we'd be supporting to them with everything, make sure they're okay, and then we bring them to another scenario. Imagine when you were that person, when you were very down, when you were beating yourself up, what would you say to yourself? Usually ang lumalabas, ang harsh natin sa sarili natin, parang hindi na ako natuto dito, why did I do that? When in reality, we also deserve that same kind of compassion we extend to others. Kasi we are also human. We are also part of that. And I think that's something that happens intrinsically when you're in theater. If I can empathize to this kind of character na is different from me, why can't I do that for myself? If I can bring the life of like a politician, for example, and understand at least that kind of shared humanity that we have as humans, why can't I extend that to myself? And in some sort of way, it goes unarticulated, but it kind of gets healed to know that I can actually give myself the love I'm looking for. Oh,
Oh,
diba?
Happy February.
wait.
Hashtag
Okay.
hashtag quotes from Ade.
So ayun, I guess that is why in some way theater really helps people because sometimes people are more used to empathizing for other people. But if you put yourself as that other person, parang ano natitrick siya in your brain na parang ay okay, so you know how to empathize for other people. Sige, you are the other people. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the process, ay oo nga no.
I realize it's a CBT thing. Uh,
Mm.
that is an actual thing that they do in CBT. Usually, like what they do is like they put it in a circle and then they imagine this is one of your friends and this is what they're doing. They're harming themselves or whatever. They're being very cruel to themselves, and then you tell them what you think, and then what they do is so they're standing outside the circle, and then so the person is telling, so trying to get them to be more empathetic or to be nice to themselves, and then suddenly the therapist pushes them inside the circle, and then they're like, I am that friend, oh no. So it's really cool. It's really cool that you mentioned that because that is a thing that they do in therapy for CBT
Oh.
specifically, because that trick does work. I realize that now. I'm sorry, I forgot earlier, but yes, that is a trick that works.
And I actually want to pick up another thing that CJ mentioned. Is parang that having that kind of third person, like stepping back and watching that yourself as you go through things. There's this term that we learn sa mindfulness. It's called disentering.
Mhm.
Being able to take a step back and see your experience and your thoughts as like mental events lang na sometimes kasi the difficulty is that we sometimes get married or that we get merged with like a bad thought or a bad event na because this event happened I'm bad rather than saying this event was bad.
Yeah.
So mindfulness in
Mm.
a sense and theater yung binabanggit ni CJ as an actor you have that you kind of create that third person to be able to step back and decenter yourself from doing the scene, doing the experience, because you know it's a character. So you're also kind of training that third person in a sense.
May na-notice lang ako sa both answer ni CJ and Aden na parang, is there a thing that we're inclined towards finding another person, another persona, whether you're internalizing, oh, it's another person, there's this another, and like, or for when you want to find, let's say, it's a process of comforting yourself, but not, but the process is like you have to make another persona of yourself so you can do it. I don't know, maybe there's something I noticed, like, well, if it helps us, who are we to like wonder what this might be a little odd, but this works. That's what at least is nice. Actually, what's also very nice that I think some of the answering CJ that I can relate to what Ada said. Parang you guys were able to like understand someone, for example, evil, an evil character. What's so nice about that is um you're able to understand the level of empathy for someone who's evil. Like more often than not, it's so easy to just hate someone who's different from you, who's evil. But like, I don't know, that can be therapeutic for you, and that can be also very therapeutic for the person. They're being understood. Maybe in that way they would be less, I don't know, evil. Yeah, I don't know. It helps. It really helps both ends. And I don't know. I just like how all what you mentioned come together for I guess some sort of healing, some sort of comforting for yourself and other people. So it's just so nice. So
Not to mention the fact when not to mention the fact when you it's like you're practicing how to empathize with other people besides just you like empathizing with this character even if the character is bad, but it's empathizing. it's again going back to the seeking understanding.
Yeah,
So it's like you're practicing. You're practicing. Yeah.
exactly.
You practice, guys. Practice is good.
It is practice. I think the whole exercise of theater, especially acting, is really good exercise for it makes empathize self empathy a lot more and then what Ade said, decentering a lot easier because that's kind of what you do as an actor, you know. You have to play this persona that maybe not be not you may not completely identify with, maybe not even somebody that you completely agree with, you know. So that's something that they can do, that they can it's something that they practice on the regular anyway, which is why it can be so therapeutic to be in theater.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
And siguro
Yeah.
go ahead, Ade.
I guess parang on the flip side naman, this is parang a word of caution for those who parang this seems so all well and good, no? Pero there are a handful then of people that may need to take caution
Yeah.
with going into acting, going into these kinds of exercises. And I think this is also a good kind of topic to discuss of the actor's mental health and well-being. There
Mm.
are kasi some actors who go into a role but they don't know they haven't processed their own trauma
Oh
or
yeah.
what
Mm-mm.
they're working with.
Yeah.
And that could be very dangerous
that
for
that is
themselves.
that gets very dangerous
Yeah,
for them.
yeah. So I think what I guess the key word here that is crucial on how therapy can be theater can be therapy but still a safe way to explore healing is boundaries, knowing
Yes.
that you are not your character and
Mm-mm.
that what they did is not you, and it's still an exercise of empathy.
Mm-mm.
Kasi sometimes some people, if they have unprocessed trauma, might merge again. That way of merging again with a character or with an event or with a thought. Na this character is so evil. Oh God, I am so evil because I did this to someone.
Mm.
But again,
Mm-hmm.
it's the boundaries, knowing
Yeah.
na this is not you, and that's okay. So yeah, the word
Yeah.
boundaries really is a big
I think
thing.
that to just to add a little bit to that, like I really like that whole the idea, the importance of boundaries, because yes, we talk a lot about like empathy and feeling for these people and feeling with these people, but I think a particular like statement that I like to say whenever I talk about this in particular is to when regarding boundaries, is that empathy without boundaries is self-destructive. You're going to end up hurting yourself if you empathize only without understanding where your boundaries are. This is that leads to like a whole slew of things. It opens you up to abuse, it opens you up to self-harm and all of these things. So it's important, again, just to reiterate that empathy without boundaries is self-destructive. Don't do it. Know your boundaries.
That's actually
Yeah,
very
that's
nice that you guys have to mention that, like, sort of caution when you come into that, because for example, for any um we kind of need to share to other people, any ordinary people who may not be in theater, or um who are just getting into theater, need to understand the value of boundaries. Not just, well, what's nice with the idea of boundaries in theater is that you can really relate it to your personal experience, right? It's not just in theater that, or probably you might learn this concept in theater, and like it's so much better to really apply it in your personal lives. With on that note, relating that to every theater therapy, to every ordinary person's not really into the arts, and what they kind of want to. This is actually for Ade, like just a question for you, because you kind of shared already how it helped you, like really elaborated on it, how theater therapy helped you, and well, the fact that you're practicing mindfulness, diba? And then theater is really one of your professions right now. So how can theater, or theater's therapy, be of help for any ordinary person, like well, I would say I'm sort of an ordinary person who's not into theater because I'm not that merged into it right now. But for anyone else who are not as in touch, let's say, with the arts, how can we? Because we want to like share, of course, this diba, that's our experience of who are quite into the arts and theater, and this value of having appreciating how it can be therapeutic. Like, how can be of help for any ordinary person.
Yeah, I guess I think we all intrinsically find a way to do that by ourselves. When you're walking down the street or just cooking or doing random things, you're starting to sing a random song or you start to draw something. These are little things that might seem like just habits, but if you try, siguro this is the invitation, no? Like try when you start singing, when you start doodling, try to pause and to notice na, oh wait, I'm singing and this actually feels really good. Kasi these are the moments, the tiny moments in our day where our creative soul kind of finds release. These are a habit that we have built over time, like just randomly singing lyrics out of nowhere. It's some sort of release that is coming from your brain that just wants to kind of like onting sayaw lang, onting kembot lang. 'Di ba? I think even if you are not a theater person, even if you are not like involved in the arts the way we are, all four of us we are like in the industry itself, all of us, I think, have the capacity to express. And that expression comes out in small dances, parang sasayaw lang to the music when you hear it or singing it out. Don't take it for granted. Take those moments. Sing if your heart wants to. Dance if your body feels like it. Because these are the things that are keeping you sane throughout the day, even if you don't realize it. And if you are in the arts or if you'd like to get into it, don't be afraid to take classes. I think one of the interesting things is when I first met Isa is parang I invited her to an improv class. And that is a very good entry point for those who are not yet into theater but would like to get into it. Improv theater is a very good entry point because you will literally meet people from different walks of life. You will meet a marketing person. You will meet a veterinarian. You will meet a politician, actually. So you will meet people from different walks of life and it becomes your way into a community that can really help you grow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing because like yeah, if you think about it, there are times where you're just like maybe washing the dishes or you're doing work and then you hear this song and you're like bopping to the tune of it and or lip syncing the lyrics. Yeah, that's actually pretty true. I mean, my sister is a doctor, yet she sings Disney all throughout whenever we have a road trip. She plays blasts Disney music all the time, and she sings to her heart's desire. And not she's a doctor. So yeah. Actually, now we're boiling down to our last question. It's for both of you guys. So like, how do you think theater as therapy can be more recognized by professionals as an emotional or mental sort of help?
Hmm. Uh, I think there are studies that are going specifically into the arts, but not necessarily therapy. I think there are some role play situations that are used in therapy to help people process events or emotions. Um, there's a lot of nuance that goes into this because it's therapy as like professional level therapy. And there I think when it comes to mental health professionals, recognizing how theater helps, I think when clients are a bit more open about what they do, how they cope, um, those are things that professionals usually tend to use. So they use tools that they know, and they also would use tools that the client would be familiar with. So, for example, the client is into theater, they would be more likely to use role play because it's easier, it's more familiar, it's easier for them to confront more difficult topics or more difficult experiences to process when it's in a space that they find safe. um and I think this applies more to people who are in theater. But it's, I think there is some form of recognition with it, but I think it's more about, it's a lot of practice and it's a lot of showing people that this is why we do this, this is why it's good for us, this is why we feel happy when we do theater, even if it's, you know, stressful and we go to rehearsals and dedicate our lives to the prod. um you know, you guys know, see, we've been in productions. You know, even if we sacrifice our firstborns to our prod, um that it's something that we love to do. We do it because we love it. You know, we do it because there's something there that we continue to look at, that we keep looking for. That feeling of really of catharsis essentially, and of just being able to, again, going back to seeking understanding, to show something that people will like, people will recognize, and people that will say, "Hey, I got that, and I really liked it, and I felt what you wanted me to feel."
Yeah. I guess to add on to that lang, as much as it pains me to say, I think one thing that we can do to start opening theater as a form of therapy or as a way to self heal is that we also have to address still the discrimination that there is, or stigma with mental health. I think um, more than anything, that's the first barrier that we're going to encounter with anyone who wants to go into theater for a self healing. It's that we have to address the elephant in the room, that mental health matters. And concretely, what we can do as any organization can do, when we have productions, we can partner up with I don't know, other organizations. I'm seeing a recent trend where organizations stage plays about mental health, and they will actually collaborate with a mental health organization, and that is a very good way to start bridging those gaps. Because theater, the good thing about theater naman is that it helps the audience digest and becomes more acceptable for them to understand what mental health is. So yeah, that is one way concretely we can do as organizations, as people. We can collaborate. One thing that we do as theater people is collaborate, and we can collaborate with organizations that address certain topics. Maybe look in your play, what topics does it address, and see if you can reach out to organizations para you start to bridge that stigma, because they are the ones who can do professional help, and we are the ones who broadcast their services. So yeah, that's what we can do.
You know what? Actually, I'm more compelled somehow to like watch those shows who partner with organizations for advocacies like that, because you realize,
Mhm.
even as someone who's going to be a spectator, who's going to watch the show, you're kind of doing, I don't know, for me it feels like you're doing something more than just watch the show and appreciate it, because you know that when you support this show they have a cause for it more often than not. It's like, I remember, like, I've been to a couple of shows, and actually even itself, like, so there are some shows that I didn't even know that were partnered with these advocacy organizations. It makes me, it's like a happy surprise to realize that, really. So I do agree that's
Yeah.
one way really to strongly help um, help theater be more recognized as some of a tool for therapy. Right.
Yes,
So we're
that's very true.
actually, any other thoughts, Leah?
Actually, just a little bit. The fact that theater, we all collaborate, and the fact that those theater companies who collaborate with those advocacy organizations is not it's a very good way to not only let people understand, but also to spread awareness for those people who actually don't know that this is something that should be talked about, that this is something that should be out in the open. So yeah, collaboration and awareness, really, guys, is very important.
All right. So we're actually at the end of our episode tonight. Thank you so much, CJ and Ade, for
Thank you, thank
joining us.
you.
Super thank you for lending us your time even just for this hour, and of course also um thank you to our viewers for catching our show. So first CJ and Ade, as other than our thank you, do you want anything you want to share to everyone and invite them to your events or anything you want to promote? Go ahead, as you know, our featured guests. Ade, go ahead.
Go.
Sure. I have two. I'd like to invite everyone. For those who would like to try and get into a mindfulness practice, you can check out Mindfulness at Friendly Care. That's on Facebook, mindfulness.friendlycare. They offer like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. For those who would like to learn some mindfulness to help prevent anxiety or depression. It really is a good way to take care of yourself in this pandemic, especially since we're all on our own sometimes. And we can also check on Emergent Theater, PH. That is a group that I am part of. It's almost like an advocacy group, Emergent Theater PH, where we try to open up the theater as a space for healing as well. So yeah, we do conversations, we do performances. So hopefully you guys can check that out. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
For
How about you,
me,
CJ?
I'd like to share. I'd like to get everybody to check out the Icarus Theater Collaborative. We're on Instagram and on Facebook, and I'm not sure. No, yeah, Instagram and Facebook. You can also check out our site, icarustheater.ph. We have two productions coming up. It's Theater Bites. It's a series of small productions written by our own members, written and acted by our own members of the company. And then we have an adaptation coming up later in the mid-year, an adaptation of Anton Chekhov's Seagull entitled Dito. So look out for that.
So again, thank you, CJ. Thank you, Ade, so much.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
one thing that I will take away from this, like it's stuck in my head, empathy with boundaries. It's like, and it's seared in my brain now. So again, thank you so much, and everyone who's watching. This has been Theater Mix. Thanks to all of those who tuned in. We have more podcasts for you coming this March, so please tune in to our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for it, updates and more online events. So see you guys real soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Bye.
Bye. Thank
everyone. Bye
you.
bye.